can't wait for the weekend. Waking up next to you. We'll be sharing our secrets.
Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm really excited to bring you guys these yummy, delicious holiday recipes that I made for our Thanksgiving this year. And I think that you guys can use these for all sorts of different types of occasions. It doesn't have to just be for Thanksgiving, but I'm really excited to see what you guys think. If you try out the recipe and like it, let me know in my comments. Come back, send me a comment so that I know that you guys tried them and liked them. As usual, guys, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Every time one of you hits that red subscribe button, it brings so much joy to my heart and really helps my channel to be able to succeed here on YouTube so that I can continue making awesome content for you guys. So please don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, to hit that red subscribe button for me right now before we get any further into the video. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and make sure to leave me some comments down below. I actually have a question for you guys. What is your favorite thing to eat at Thanksgiving dinner or at Christmas dinner? Go ahead and just let me know down in the comment section, because one of my favorite things is to find out a little bit more about my subscribers and my friends and family here on YouTube. So I would love to know a little bit about what your favorite dish is that you either bring, make, or just love to eat on Thanksgiving or Christmas too. So as you can tell, here I am just peeling up those potatoes. You might be wondering why I do it under running water. I find that it works better that way. I know some people don't like to do it this way, but personally, that's just the way that I like to peel my potatoes. Give it a try maybe, but be very careful. Don't let your fingers slip so that you don't cut yourself. So we have a pretty big group in our family, and I was also making two separate types of sweet potatoes. So I used a lot. I think I used somewhere between like 13 and 16 large sweet potatoes for these two casserole dishes. Once I was finished peeling them, I just started to dice them up, and I separated them into two separate pots. Since I was making two different dishes, I wanted to keep the half of them separate so that I would have enough in each dish. But also, I was making so many that they did not all fit into one pot. So that's why I ended up separating them into two separate pots. So once they were all diced up, I just covered them with water, put lids over them, and I put them on the stovetop with about a medium flame, and I left them on the stovetop to cook for as long as it would take for a fork to pierce through a large chunk of the potato and for it to fall off. Every stovetop is different, so I can't tell you exactly how long that's going to be for you, but as long as you just kind of keep checking in and just stick that little fork in, you should be able to know when they're soft enough that you're going to be able to mash them up. So I'm not one to waste time if I can avoid it, and I was cooking several dishes on this day. So while the potatoes were boiling on the stovetop, I started chopping up the bacon and then cooking it in a pan so that I could have it nice and crispy and ready for my Brussels sprouts that it was going to go on. You heard me, bacon on my Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. I make several different types of Brussels sprouts, from everything from just a little bit of salt and olive oil to something that is as extravagant as these bacon maple brown sugar Brussels sprouts. And if you aren't normally a fan of Brussels sprouts, I promise you, give this recipe a try, because adding some bacon and some sweets really does the trick. So the next thing I do here is open up all of the bags of Brussels sprouts and I start washing them off. I like to wash my Brussels sprouts right before I'm about to use them instead of washing them ahead of time, just because I feel like they last a little bit longer if you wait to wash them until you need to use them. So as you can tell, I'm cutting off the little stem and then I am halving them. I do not peel the top layers of my Brussels sprouts. I think that they taste really good with the top layers on them. Some people I know prefer to peel the top layers off. It's totally up to you and how you like to do yours, but I just don't do that. As you can see here, Chloe was really into helping me this year. She has been so much more of a help in the kitchen since she turned 3, and it has been so amazing having her in there with me. So you guys will get to see her a lot more if I continue to make any more cooking videos on this channel. I do love to make them, so if you want to see more of them, make sure that you let me know in the comments, because I am always looking for new ways to share parts of our life with you. And if I can do that through some recipe videos, I think that that's awesome, as well as vlogs, you know? So let me know. I truly feel like your feedback is extremely important in the direction that my channel goes. Time for a coffee break. I think I have a weird ASMR for watching bacon sizzle in a pan and fast forward. Let me know if any of you guys like that as well. All right, so once your bacon is starting to crisp up, which you'll see in a little bit here, you're just gonna wanna go ahead and remove it onto a paper towel, and you are gonna take about half of that oil out of the pan and leave the other half in, and just reserve the leftover oil because you're gonna wanna use it a little bit later when we do start cooking the Brussels sprouts. So now that our potatoes have finished cooking, we're gonna go ahead and head back over to the sweet potato portion of the recipe video, and we are going to add in our butter and milk. I was making this recipe for my family, which has a lot of allergies, including gluten and dairy, and so the milk I used was oat milk and the butter I used was plant butter. I also used salt, pepper, nutmeg, cinnamon, and a little tiny bit of cayenne in this recipe as well. And I will have all the ingredients that I use listed down below to help you guys out if you choose to make this recipe. And I just went ahead and got them blended up to a smooth consistency. You want to just make sure that there's no real big chunks involved, but there's no hard and fast rules on how this goes. I then scooped them all out and put them in the casserole dish. This is for the candied sweet potatoes, so we are going to be topping these with marshmallows. I use the large marshmallows, but you're more than welcome to use the mini marshmallows if you like that better. But I find that most people like to have that extra layer of sweet on top if they're going for the candied sweet potatoes. They like to have a lot of that marshmallow on top. And don't forget, they always put one extra marshmallow in the bag for you to eat while you're cooking. Now we're moving on to the second half of the sweet potatoes. This is going to be the savory recipe. So as you can see, I'm going to put them right in the same mixing bowl. I didn't bother cleaning it out because we're pretty much using a lot of the same spices, and it's not going to affect the flavor at all having the old sweet potato in there. And just like before, I'm going to be adding in oat milk and plant butter, but you're welcome to use regular milk or regular butter if that works for your family. And so here you see me adding it in. I'm also going to be adding in some spices, a little bit different spices than I did for the first one, but some of the same spices will be used. I'm also adding in, for a little bit more of a savory flavor, some dairy-free cheese and dairy-free sour cream. Like I said, if you don't have a dairy-free household, feel free to use the regular sour cream and regular cheese. And I did not use a measured amount. I used a scoop of the sour cream and maybe like 1/4 to 1/2 a cup of the dairy-free cheese. I don't really do measuring very well. I just like to kind of shake those spices in until my ancestors tell me that's enough. So I like to use cinnamon, nutmeg, onion, garlic, a pretty decent amount of sage, and then salt and pepper. And I really just add as much as I feel like, and then I taste it after it's all mixed up, and if I feel like it needs more, I add some more. This was actually my first year making savory potatoes, and I just kind of made it up as I went along, and they actually turned out very, very delicious. And so I highly recommend adding some savory sweet potatoes to your table next year or at any other event that you might be having coming up, because they were a big hit, and sometimes people, I feel like, might get tired of the same sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top. So some people love those, and there are people who might want to try something a little bit different. So this was really a great way to get the best of both worlds, and they were both really big hits. So just like before, you're just gonna really get it all kind of smoothed, mashed together to a nice consistency, and then you're just gonna go ahead and get your rubber scraper spatula, and you're going to just get as much as you possibly can out, since this is the last of the potatoes. You wanna get all of it out. And yes, I know my camera was zoomed in on the wrong spot, and so some of the stuff you can't see what I'm doing, but I will try my best to try and describe it for you. So just like before, I am smoothing out that sweet potato into the casserole dish, and then I'm going to start making the topping for it. So first I just kind of added some cinnamon on top just to give it a little bit extra flavor. As you can see, I am moving that mixer out of the way. I no longer need it for the rest of my recipes. we're all done with the KitchenAid. And here you see I got out my rolling pin. I'm going to grab a Ziploc bag and put some almonds in it as well as some cornmeal. Now, if you like pecans, you can use pecans. And if you're not gluten-free, a great alternative to the cornmeal would be panko breadcrumbs. I'm sure that would taste delicious as well. But I kind of just made it up with what I had on hand, and this turned out really, really good as well. I do love cornmeal. I think it adds a little bit of an extra flavor, but panko breadcrumbs and pecans would be great too. So you have a lot of options here. As you can see, I'm just crunching and rolling over and over again, mixing it on up, trying to get those almonds to be basically as crushed as possible. All right, so now you're gonna see that I poured into a little mixing bowl here, and then I'm gonna add in some of that reserved bacon grease. And that way, not all of it, because I do need some of it for the Brussels sprouts later, but that kind of added a little bit of a stickiness to it so that it kind of binded together the almonds and the cornmeal into this really good topping. And then you see I pour it on top and just spread it out with that spatula, and you're gonna see it looks super savory. Then just to add a little bit of sweetness back into it, I sprinkled on maybe a tablespoon worth of brown sugar. And honestly guys, it was the perfect amount of savory to sweet ratio. I promise you guys it will be so good and such a big hit if you guys use this recipe. Now that both of our sweet potatoes are ready to be put in the oven, we're gonna finish up with the Brussels sprouts. So as you can see here, I added the Brussels sprouts on top of that bacon grease that we left in the pan. Then I added in some of the bacon, a little bit of the bacon, just to kind of cook it in with the flavors of the Brussels sprouts. I added some salt, some cayenne pepper, and a little bit of regular black pepper. And then I just cooked it on up, adding in a little bit of bacon grease as I went along, so that it would continue to cook up with that bacon flavor. Then as you can see here, once the Brussels sprouts were starting to soften, I added in some maple syrup. The maple syrup just bound all those flavors together and brought this amazing dish together. And I swear guys, this was such a big hit. People who don't normally like Brussels sprouts were going up for seconds. So I promise you this will be a big hit at your party as well. Honestly, I wish there was leftovers because it was that good. All right, now I'm just gonna let you listen to it sizzle. So you can go ahead and cook those sweet potatoes, both of them, for about 30 to 40 minutes on 375, and just check to make sure if they look ready or not. And then as long as you are happy with the flavor of those Brussels sprouts, you can eat them as is right out of the pan. But I do recommend, if you have an oven-safe dish, that you can go ahead and toss them in the oven on broil for about 5 minutes just to crisp them up a little bit, and that will add a little extra flavor back in as well. Alright guys, I hope that you had an amazing time coming along and cooking with me today. I hope that you'll try out these recipes. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below if you do try them out or if you're planning to try them out. Let me know what that favorite recipe is that you love to have at your holiday meals. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to go ahead and follow me over on Instagram so that you can keep up to date with my day-to-day life. Alright babes, love ya. See you in the next one. Mwah.